Welcome to J is for Justice podcast. If live breaking news and following true crime is your thing, then please consider subscribing to my channel. And if you like what you see in my videos, please consider giving them a thumbs up. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to J is for Justice. It is Friday, January 10th. Welcome back to my channel. We're going to be covering more on the California fires tonight. But first off, I want to say hi to some people that have been in chat waiting. We're starting a little early. Miss Lizzie Bones. Lizzie Bones. Good to see you, Bones. Hope you're doing good. Happy New Year to you and yours. I wanted to play this a little bit early before the town hall meeting. So what's upcoming is this, and yours truly has asked a question in the chat. So I wanted to read that really quick. Let's see if my question gets answered. I said, President Biden stated it was a lack of power to the hydrants. I'm assuming pumps. But the governor said it was too much on the demand. Why the conflicting answers? So that was my question, and there's not a whole lot of questions here, to be honest. Like, this is it in the actual chat. So hopefully, maybe they'll address our question. But in the meantime, I wanted to play the latest from our president, the dog-faced lion pony soldier.
Don't make me a dog-faced lion pony soldier.
I just want to make sure you guys had some audio. Did you hear that? Let me know. Well, Biden stated they shut off the electricity to the pumps, is why I'm asking. Right? And then we had the governor saying, oh, no, it's like putting, 5 straws in a glass and expecting to have enough to drink out of all of them. So I'd like to know why. This was god awful. So I had to show this. And if Crimes Without Consequences is in the chat, shout out to her. I saw her in the Fox 11 chat among 123,000 people. I saw Crimes Have Consequences. So also we have another piece of news. I'm uploading a short about TikTok. The Supreme Court met all day today. And I'm putting a little update up on TikTok and the ban on TikTok. TikTok will be banned on January 19th unless there's an approved buyer. Now, why wouldn't Elon Musk want to buy TikTok? Why not, Elon? Keep them crazy motherfuckers over on TikTok. Let us have our tubes. Buy it up and let's keep them over there contained. All right, guys, let's listen to a little bit of Joe Biden. This was just momentarily, just a few minutes ago.
Remember that the unemployment rate has dropped below 4.1, as low as 4.1%. And all told, in 4 years, we've created 16.
He's okay until he starts getting questions, okay? So I'm going to speed him up.
0.6 million new jobs, the most of any single presidential term in history. There wasn't a month, not a single month, when the economy lost jobs.
I wonder what happened to his nose.
In fact,
do you think he face planted yesterday? The hell? Why has he's got a mark on his nose? That shit wasn't there yesterday.
In fact, the last month America's lost jobs was the month before I came to office. And the question is, I want to make it clear, how and why did we make such progress? We did it by fundamentally changing the economic policy of this country. After decades of trickle-down economics that primarily benefited those at the very top, Kamala and I and our administration have written a new playbook that's growing the economy from the middle out and the bottom up that benefits everyone. The new playbook is working, but in 10 days, our administration will end and the new administration will begin. We're going to face another inflection point. Do we continue to grow the economy from the middle out and the bottom up as we have the past 4 years?
I'm going to skip this part.
Slashing taxes for
it's bullshit. Rhetoric.
Buy American, use American workers, but not on our watch. We're modernizing roads, bridges, ports, airports, clean water systems, affordable high-speed broadband systems and internet, and so much more. And we've incentivized building all these...
And so much more. It's so scripted. Let's get to the questions, really. This is stupid. Dumb to even listen to.
As at record level, money. It saves the American taxpayers money. $160 billion will be saved over the next decade because Medicare will no longer have to pay the exorbitant prices that pharmaceutical companies have been charging. And you know, with our historic backing of unions, public support for unions is the highest it's been in more than half a century. And the labor movement is expanding to new companies and new industries. The middle-out, bottom-up playbook is also about asking the very wealthy and those profitable corporations. We want them to do well, but begin to pay their fair share in taxes. My predecessor's tax cut, last time he was here, not only increased the federal debt by $2 trillion, it overwhelmingly benefited the biggest corporations, delivering tax cuts to the top 1%, worth more than 50 times what the middle-class families receive. And you've heard me say it 100 times. We have over 1,000 billionaires in America. They paid an average of 8.2% in federal taxes. Look, folks, my approach is leading to better results for everyone. I kept my commitment that no one earning less than $400,000 a year would pay a single penny more in federal taxes. I fought hard to expand the child tax credit for working families that, when it existed, cut child poverty nearly in half. I expanded tax credits to make health insurance more affordable for millions of Americans enrolled in the Affordable Care Act. Because of our policies and confidence of entrepreneurs in our economy, we have also seen 21 million new business applications filed in our administration, the most in any single presidential term on record. And it's important because every single one of those applications for small business is an act of hope, believing in the country. There's so much more from our playbook. But the bottom line is we've come a long way from the crisis we've inherited. Let me close where I started. With this morning's jobs report, more than 250,000 jobs in December. In 4 years, the economy created 16.6 million new jobs, the most in any single presidential term. We've created jobs every single month I was in office. During my presidency, we saw the lowest average unemployment rate of any administration in the last 50 years. And battling through the worldwide effects of the pandemic, Putin's war in Ukraine, and supply chain disruption, inflation rate is down to nearly 2%. These are simple, well-established economic benchmarks that measure the strength of any economy, the success and failure of any president's 4 years in office. I believe the economy I'm leaving
Ooh, did you hear
is
that?
the best in the world and stronger than ever for all
in.
Americans. So I think that's what we have. We'll see what the next president does. I want to thank you all. God bless you all. May God protect your troops. I'm happy to take some questions.
Oh, here we go.
Mr. President, you talked about gas prices coming down. You made today a decision about sanctions against Russia. Are you concerned that that decision will perhaps lead to gas prices going up? And can you explain why those sanctions were imposed today and not earlier in the term?
The sanctions are imposed today because they will have profound effect on the growth of the Russian economy and make it more difficult for Putin to conduct his wars. It is probable that gas prices could increase as much as 3-4 cents a gallon, but it's going to have a more profound impact on Russia's ability to continue to act in the way it's acting in the conduct of war.
Mr. President, did you speak to Pope Francis about canceling your trip to the Vatican, and are you disappointed to not make that visit before leaving office?
Well, to tell you the truth, I am disappointed, but it's much more important I stay here with all that's going on. He fully understands that. I did not personally speak to him, but the team spoke with the apostolic delegate, and
I slowed it down now.
I am disappointed.
Mr. President, have you had any reaction to the President Trump's verdict today up in New York, and whether or not you believe that the punishment fit the crime? And also, sir, on pardons, have you ruled out a pardon for yourself or any other additional members of the family?
For myself? What would I pardon myself for?
That's what I'm asking.
No, I have no contemplation of pardoning myself for anything. I didn't do anything wrong.
What?
Mr. President, would you comment on Meta's decision to end its fact-checking operations in the United States? Is that a good decision in your opinion?
Someone asked if he was going to pardon
Have you
himself.
ruled or not the
What?
And so, but I am
Listen again.
disappointed.
Mr. President, have you had any reaction to the President Trump's verdict today up in New York and whether or not you believe that the punishment fit the crime? And also, sir, on pardons, have you ruled out a pardon for yourself or any other additional members of the family?
For myself?
Yes, sir.
What would I pardon myself for?
That's what I'm asking.
No, I have no contemplation of pardoning myself for anything. I didn't do anything wrong.
Mr. President, would you comment on Meta's decision to end its fact-checking operations in the United States? Is that a good decision in your opinion?
Well, look, the whole idea of walking away from fact-checking as well as not reporting anything having to do with discrimination regarding the TPS, I find to be just contrary to American justice, the way we talk about one another. Telling the truth matters. I mean, I know I'm on national television, but you all are local reporters and national reporters.
Okay.
This is not a legit, real question, but what do you think?
What?
You think it doesn't matter
What?
that they let be printed or millions of people read it, things that are simply not true? I mean, I want to know what that's all about. It's just completely contrary to everything America's about. We want to tell the truth. We haven't always done it as a nation, but we want to tell the truth.
No, you haven't.
And the idea that, a billionaire can buy something and say, by the way, from this point on, we're not gonna fact check anything. And when you have millions of people going online, reading this stuff, it is, anyway, I think it's really shameful.
Mr. President, do you regret your decision to run for re-election? Do you think that made it easier for your predecessor to now become your successor?
I don't think so. I think I would have beaten Trump, could have beaten Trump, and I think that Kamala could have beaten Trump and would have beaten Trump.
What?
It wasn't about, I thought it was important to unify the party. And when the party was worried about whether or not I was going to be able to move, I thought even though I thought I could win again, I thought it was better to unify the party. And it was the greatest honor in my life to be President of the United States, but I didn't want to be one who caused a party that wasn't unified to lose an election. And that's why I stepped aside, but I was confident she could win.
You think she should run again?
What your assessment is of how long Ukraine can last without further aid, if in fact your administration marks the end of American provisions for their
Well, I had a long talk with Zelensky today.
Oh, Lord.
And I think that as long as we continue to keep Western Europe united as it relates to Ukraine, that there is a real chance that the Ukrainians can prevail, because the cost to Russia is incredibly high. Over 600-some thousand dead or wounded. The Koreans they brought in is having high mortality rates as well. And I made it clear that I provided every bit of funding that authority I have as president to be able to do that now. And I know that there are a significant number of Democrats and Republicans on the Hill who think we should continue to support Ukraine. It is my hope and expectation they'll speak up and not agree to President if Trump decides to cut off funding for Ukraine.
Did President-elect's position on that conflict influence your decision to enact the oil and other sanctions on Russia today? In other words, put more pressure on Russia at a point where the President-elect appears to be driving to the table?
The truth of the matter is, no, But if it hadn't, if those other conditions didn't exist, it would have had an impact. I already decided that Putin's in tough shape right now. And
I don't know, but
I
mine
think it's
does,
really
Obama.
important that he not have any breathing room to continue to do the god-awful things he continued to do. And as I said, he's got his own problems economically, significant problems economically, as well as politically at home. And so I decided to do everything I possibly could within my power and authority to give Ukraine every advantage it could have to be able to sustain support for an independent Ukraine.
You said Vice President Harris would be able to beat. You said Vice President Harris had a good shot to beat Trump. Do you think she should run again in 4 years?
I think that's a decision. I think she's competent to run again in 4 years. That'll be a decision for her to make.
Mr. President, on Venezuela.
I think she's competent to run again in 4 years. That'll be a decision for her to make. I think that's a decision. I think she's competent to run again in 4 years. That'll be a decision for her to make.
Jesus.
I think that's a decision. I think she's competent to run again in 4 years. That'll be a decision for her to make.
Mr. President, on Venezuela, the sanctions that your administration announced today, some are saying that they don't go far enough by not targeting the petroleum sector. Why was this administration hesitant to apply further sanctions to the oil and gas industry there?
That's still being investigated in terms of what impact it would have and whether or not it would just be replaced by Iran or any other country. So it matters what would happen afterwards. I had a long discussion again with the man who should be appointed president on that score, but since I didn't have a clear answer to what that would be, if I had more time, I may very well do that. But I didn't have enough data to make that judgment.
If I could also ask about Havana syndrome, today the intelligence community assessment changed slightly with two intelligence agencies now saying there's an even chance that this is being caused by a foreign actor. Do you personally believe that a foreign actor is responsible for these incidents?
No. Now, do I believe that ISIS's theology, if you will, has impacted people in America? Some who are not particularly well suited to handle the life they live.
Huh?
It has that effect. But there's
Wait,
no.
what?
I find no evidence, and I spent effect to people in America. Theology, if you will, has impacted people in America. Some who are not particularly well suited to handle the life they live. It has that effect. But I find no evidence, and I spent 17, 18 hours with the community right off the bat trying to determine whether or not there was any outside influence.
What?
And thus far, we find no connection between an outside player, individual, but that doesn't mean someone reading the malarkey that's going out there isn't influenced by it. Both these men, both in Nevada and in Louisiana, have been men who've had their own problems but not because they've been influenced by a specific individual.
Am I missing something? What is Nevada and Louisiana? Am I missing something?
Sorry, so my question was on Havana syndrome, not Nevada, sorry, on the Havana syndrome. The intelligence community today.
That wasn't even the question. Look, he's like, huh?
Part of their assessment changed, saying that there is now an even chance that the Havana syndrome cases and incidents, there's a foreign actor potentially behind them. Do you agree with that assessment?
I don't have the full brief on that right now. I'm not going to comment on that.
Do you have an update on Austin Tice in Syria and whether or not he's...
The answer is I'm not going to respond to that because that's an active, ongoing issue. You know my attitude about getting prisoners released from abroad, and I'm not going to comment on that right now.
Just one question again back on pardons and commutations.
So he was answering a question on the terrorist attacks from a couple weeks ago, and he's like, no, I was asking you about the Havana situation.
Can you just give us a sense of what other pardons and commutations you're considering in your last 10 days?
Well, the answer is no, because two things. One is that
Bones.
it depends on some of the language and expectations that Trump broadcast in the last couple days here as to what he's going to do. The idea that he would punish people for not adhering to what he thinks should be policies related to his well-being is outrageous. But there's still consideration of some folks, nothing but no decision.
All right, thanks, everybody.
Have you talked about what kind of post-presidency?
Oh, God.
You're
like, cut him off.
What kind of role will you have post-presidency, sir? Do you plan to speak out after you leave Washington, or are you going to follow kind of more of the Bush model where you're kind of out of sight and out of mind?
I'm not going to be out of sight or out of mind.
You're already out of your mind.
As you just saw there, we were watching as President Biden made those remarks there, answering questions initially.
Wow. Yeah, talk about a cut his mic moment. Let's get Nancy.
Cut his mic. It's cut his mic.
That is really pathetic, honestly. I don't feel sorry for him at all. I really don't. But here's the latest on TikTok. Let's watch this. That meeting's about to begin in about, let's see, 13 minutes until the meeting. And we'll see what they have to say about the residents' questions.
Or before that last break, speaking with us about what the potential outcome will be. All right, in the meantime, we do have to switch gears. I want to show you a live. I'm your host, Christina Evans. We do want to continue on with some of the other stories that have been happening this week. Of course, with so much focus there on the California wildfires, we have wanted to prioritize that in our coverage. But another big thing is coming out of Washington today. I want to show you a live look that we have there at our nation's capital. But we do know that it looks like at this point, the Supreme Court will seemingly uphold a law that will ban TikTok in the United States beginning January 19th. This is unless the popular social media app is sold by its China-based parent company. We do want to go ahead and turn our coverage now to Fox News. Rich Edison has the very latest on this story.
Of a law that could ban TikTok in the United States is now before the Supreme Court. Justices heard arguments Friday on whether the law violates the First Amendment and its free speech protections, or if TikTok poses a threat to national security.
Congress doesn't care about what's on TikTok. They don't care about the expression. That's shown by the remedy. They're saying that the Chinese have to stop controlling TikTok.
In April, President Biden signed a bipartisan bill requiring TikTok's China-based parent company ByteDance to sell TikTok by January 19th. If not, the government could effectively ban it. The critics of the app accuse China's government of accessing information on Americans, especially the teens and young adults who use it.
But just on the data collection, that seems like a huge concern for the future of the country.
TikTok argues the ban could silence the speech of the 170 million Americans who use the app.
I think we agree that the law is burdening our speech.
And when asked whether a sale of TikTok could be made possible with more time,
it would be exceedingly difficult under any time frame.
President-elect Trump has weighed in, requesting the high court delay a decision to give his upcoming administration time to reach a political decision, which would effectively allow TikTok to keep operating past the January 19th deadline. A decision from the court could come exceptionally fast, within a matter of days. Outside the Supreme Court, Rich Edson, Fox News.
So, honestly, Trump is asking, just hold off until I come into office. Don't do anything crazy. Don't do anything crazy. Let's get some updates on the fires before the town hall meeting. So this is a virtual town hall put on by the Los Angeles County Fire Department. We have a live chat. They're taking questions from chat. Yours truly asked a question. What is the real reason no power was coming out of the hydrants? No power to them or lack of water? Because that's what we're told. Biden stated it was lack of power to the hydrants. But the governor said it was too much on the demand. Why the conflicting answers? I hope they answer my question. So we are going to start that. That starts in about 10 minutes. Thank you for being here today. We're going to go over to some live updates on the fires because I've missed a lot today. We have a new fire that started. It's not looking good. It's still not looking good. Topanga Beach, We've got video of that. Let's see. Jennifer Garner using celebrity privilege. Good for her, right? Here we go. We got some live footage right here. Okay. Oh, gosh. I have that down on the bottom, don't I? We'll close that baby out and get this one ready. Oh, hey, Snowflakes. Hey, Proud Mimi. I can say hi to everybody for a minute here. We got Jenny. We got Kendo. Lizzie Bones. Carrie, good evening. Good evening, Potato and Auntie Cheryl. Kels, thanks for being here. Thanks, you guys, for moderating. I appreciate you. Misty. Misty is our latest moderator. Everybody say hello to Misty. She's from Kentucky. What's up, Frenchie? Proud Mimi. Good to see ya. Hey, Cole. What's up, Strategy? Nancy Roberts, welcome. Welcome in. Welcome in. If you like what you see, go ahead and click that subscribe button. We cover all sorts of things here. True crime, government shows, you know, things that are happening in the Mo. Oh, a diamond painting. Those are fun. Hi, Courtney, Kansas gal. Welcome in. Something else. Katie baby. Side eyes. Jojo. Please look into what happened here in LA in the Scientology parking lot. What happened? Good evening, Anne and Evelyn Pickwick. Good to see all of you guys tonight. We got about 7 minutes until this meeting starts. This is all online, I guess. I don't know how they're, going to handle this exactly. I'm sure it'll be a shit show. I'm sure they won't have their chat on slow mode, right? Check this out, though. This is a guy who saved his own home. Watch. Hey, Chatty Jen. Hey, Chris. Hey, Pearl. This guy stayed home when he was supposed to leave, so let's see what he's got to say.
Well, it's devastating. I've lived here my whole life. I know these people that live in all these houses. I know the houses. This is my memories, and they're gone. But, unfortunately, this is California, and California is a desert, and you get fires like this. This is natural.
Hi, AJ. Welcome in, everybody.
This is from our manufacturing. It's photographic. We started off in photographic equipment. The house was built by my mother and father in 1960, and I lived here my whole life. So there's a lot of memories here. And I think I owed it to them as well to try my best to save it. But just did it with the hose. I got the.
Is Price still around, Bones?
The heavier hoses.
God, I forgot about that guy.
I got the goggles. I got a helmet, a construction helmet from work. There you go, Hosey. And then when you see the vortex of embers in that wind, it's pretty scary. But some things in life are worth fighting for, I mean, if I were to lose this house, it would be very difficult to afford to be able to build a new house, to pay the enormous property taxes they have here. What would I do? These are my wife, so I better take care of them.
Yeah, you need to be seen to be taking care of them.
Yes, I was awake all night, all day. Got a little bit of sleep after things calmed down a little bit, after all the houses burned down. I did probably hurt a rib jumping the fence over there, but I'll have to see a doctor when I get back.
Wow. You know, I think we have to remember that there's a lot of folks like this who have lived there for a very long time. That's like the third or fourth report that I've seen of people, you know, who have lived there. This one couple lived in their home for 75 years. I was like, wow, these are some, you know, people that have really put their roots down. It's sad.
Truck out here at all. Zero. Ready. And when the houses started to burn, I didn't see one single fire truck out here at all. Zero.
Right, not rich people, not movie stars, but
put a squirt here,
normal
a
people.
squirt there, and kept an eye on things. All these houses would be here now. I'm telling you right now, I saw it with my own eyeballs. All these houses, the houses behind me, they're all gone. I'm here. If they had some fire trucks, just put a squirt here, a squirt there, and kept an eye on things, all these houses would be here now. I'm telling you right now, I saw it with my own eyeballs. All these houses, the houses behind me, they're all gone. They started with one little spark, one little small fire. They just squirted those out, had a few people out there. They'd all be here now.
Things that, I mean, I've been doing fires here since I got here, basically. And like one of the things that the fire chiefs always say is just like...
Well, you know, I'll leave that to other people to decide. I did what I needed to do. I did what I wanted to do. I did what I thought I could do. And that's what I did. Went over there and closed in on this area over here. We started getting embers, so I got these trees on fire, but I was able to control that. Oh, actually, they've been very gracious. The neighbor over here thanked me for saving his house, and the neighbor over here thanked me. So, you know, thanks is plenty.
Wow. Hold on, someone is here. We're getting ready to start this meeting. I'll be right back, guys. Wow. Sorry about that. It wasn't even at my house. That was UPS across the street. My dogs are tripping. My dogs are tripping. This should be starting in about a minute. We are, let's see. We're live. Let me refresh it. It was UPS, but it wasn't even at my house. I have guard dogs. Oh, I'm feeling better. My sinuses have been horrible. Horrible. If anybody else, I see a lot of you aren't feeling good either. I hope you feel better soon. I'm going to keep the chat up on the screen so you guys can read. I'm thinking that once they go live, there's 894 people in here. I bet they don't put slow mode on. So who knows if they're even going to see the chat. Yeah, that was really rude. I can't believe you let her talk to you like that. AJ, what are you talking about? Oh, hey, Shell. Good to see you. We've missed you. Did you see the two women who confronted Newsom? Yeah.
Good afternoon,
Here we go,
everyone.
guys.
My name is Stephanie Bishop. I'm one of the information officers here on the Eaton Fire. Thank you for joining us at our community meeting. Currently, we're at 13,950 acres with 3% containment, and we do have over 1,600 personnel working on this. We're going to do a brief meeting tonight. We're going to go through some operational updates, some buyer behavior, as well as weather, and we do have several representatives from the agencies that we're working with in unified command on this. To start us out, we're going to start out with operations update with Section Chief Ernie Villa.
Good evening. So for current situation here on the Eaton Fire, I'll start off over here on the west side of the fire. The fire remains a little bit active out here on the west side of the fire. Crews are currently trying to go direct around the west side of the shoulder of the fire and continuing to look for options to go direct. The terrain out here is pretty difficult and challenging, so they're trying to find options how to tie this back up into Mount Low. The fire remains pretty active along the edge all the way up to Mount Low. As you come across here down into the drainages, the fire is still pretty active as you come back up coming towards Mount Wilson. Fire is along the Mount Wilson Road all the way out towards Mount Wilson, and then the fire remains below the road near Mount Wilson as it heads south. As you head south of Mount Wilson, on the Mount Wilson Road, the fire has crossed to the east side of the road, and we do have fire that's hanging up low in the drainages down on the east side there. As you come down that flank there, we've been using aircraft half the day when we've had available visibility and we've had no winds. We're using aircraft to put the fire's edge out, supporting hand crews and dozers that are trying to work to go direct on the fire's edge. As you come down into the Chantry Flat area, crews came up direct along the fire's edge, trying to go direct on that piece there as well, coming out of the reservoir. We do have contingency work going on outside of the main fire perimeter. That'll continue in the event that the fire outflanks our current position. As you come along around the bottom of the fire here, the fire is still a little bit active, more on the interior of the fire, coming along to where you see the black line here on the map. The black line indicates containment, where we've stopped the fire spread. As you come west past that point, the fire continues to be a little bit active, mostly on the interior of the fire, inside the fire perimeter. Coming along here, still continuing to mop up and secure tactical patrol in this area with a lot of our ground resources and structured defense pretty much along the whole bottom portion of this fire here. As you come up along this section here, this is where the fire made the biggest push during the initial attack phase of the fire. This is where the most of our efforts are currently occurring with all of our ground resources in this general area. So if you're in that area, we do have a huge influx of resources coming in there. Just be mindful of their presence. As you come around the corner of the fire, crews looked at going direct, and they're continuing to come up the fire's edge here to try to continue the direct efforts coming up and around the main fire's edge. With that, that'll end the report. Thank you.
Thank you for the update. Our next update will be from our fire behavior analyst, Dennis Burns.
Good afternoon, Dennis Burns, Fire Behavior Analyst for California Interagency Incident Management Team 5. Ernie kind of covered pretty well what's going on out on the fire's edge. The big difference today from the past several days is we've lost the wind influence. Palisades this morning was under the wind influence. We're kind of in a shadow here, and during a typical Santa Ana event, we don't normally see significant wind impacts here like we did when the fire initially started. Having said all that, where Ernie was explaining where crews are going direct on the fire, that's the biggest thing with the lack of wind. Our crews are actually able to go direct on the fire's edge because the fire is not burning super intensely. It's active, but it's really not pushing them, so it's giving them opportunities to go direct where they can. It's very steep, rugged terrain. There's some areas that they just plain cannot go direct on, so they'll have to back off and let the fire come to them. Let me talk a little bit about conditions right now. One of the indices that we use is called the energy release component. It's a combination of live and dead fuels and their availability to burn. Right now, we're sitting at the 95th percentile, so there's only 5% of the days that are worse than today. And it's January. These are conditions we would expect to see September, October. So, everything out there is available to burn, and it is burning. I just looked at one of the weather stations. I think it was like 0.43 inches of rain we've had so far this season. So not a lot of rain. That explains the availability of the fuels. So in the absence of wind, we're not expecting the fire to make any significant pushes. It's going to remain pretty active until we can get line on it. But without the wind, we're not expecting the fire to significantly move at all. The main areas where we have the potential are with the lack of wind, the fire is going to want to burn upslope rather than downslope like it did with the wind. So we may see a little bit of movement over here and a little bit up in this Mount Wilson and Mount Low area. End of report.
Thank you for that fire update. Our next update will be from the weather, James White.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is James White. I'm the incident meteorologist here on the incident. And as the incident meteorologist, my job is to provide localized and detailed weather information to ensure both firefighter and public safety, but to also aid in planning for the fire and for the incident. Now, this whole event, one reason it really started was all because of weather, right? And so we saw those extreme winds just a couple days ago as they blew through the area. Thankfully, as you heard from the fire behavior analysts, those winds have been backing off day by day.
Someone in chat just said, please address the false evacuation order just issued in Alhambra and Arcadia.
So tomorrow we'll keep those moderated conditions into the future, but we are going to have another red flag period, likely early Sunday morning, so late tomorrow night into early Sunday morning. Again, we're pretty sheltered here, so while the mountains are going to see really strong winds again, we're not expecting any strong winds like what we saw down here. So most of the area will be sheltered and we won't see very poor conditions. We'll keep those moderate conditions into early next week. We are tracking the potential for another Santa Ana wind event around Tuesday. That event looks a little bit stronger. So some of those conditions with that event, we could get some of those stronger winds mixing back down. Some of the higher end scenarios show some.
Uh-oh. What the freak happened? Okay, it's not me, it's their stream.
Gus, maybe
there
around 30 there, and the weather will eventually turn.
God almighty. Yep, see the chat's getting picking up.
Our favor.
Oh, that was great to hear
James.
that.
So that's going to be our update regarding the fire. Now we're going to go into a little bit about evacuation and safety update with Los Angeles County Sheriff Office, Captain Williams.
Hello, I'm Jabari Williams, captain of Altadena Sheriff Station. So just a little information I want to give. The Sheriff's Department, we have over 500 deputies deployed to Altadena alone. We're also including 30 National Guards to help with traffic control at certain points, and also approximately 19 California Highway Patrol officers that's also helping with certain points throughout Altadena. Each officer has been given what we call missions. These missions means that they are assigned certain specific tasks. They go out to make sure that they are completed, and once completed, they move on to another mission. We have several personnel available to respond if need so. Another update I want to give, we're going to start doing grid searches throughout the area. That's supposed to start tomorrow. Once that starts,
grid searches?
We have a plan in place, and we'll be able to check structures for damage to see if there's any other emergencies that are needed in the area.
I want to make sure that everybody knows that if you have loved ones or friends and you want to report them missing,
bless those
you can certainly do
responders.
so. You have to physically go to 300 East Green Street in Pasadena. That's the Pasadena Civic Center. And you can actually make out a report. Once we get that report, we will investigate it just like any other missing report. That means having to go out to the certain areas just to check specifically at that residence. We will certainly do so. I want to make sure I reiterate that all of Altadena is considered an evacuation zone. That means everybody should have been evacuated. I understand there are some people that are still in the areas. If they need assistance in any way, they can call the Sheriff's Department and we will make sure that we provide the assistance specifically to get them out of the area. Also, road closures. No one is allowed into Altadena at this time. I understand there may have been some rumors spread that if you have your ID, you can come in. That is not the case. As of right now, all of Altadena is still considered an evacuation area, and all of the roads are closed for people coming in. So please, we're just asking everyone to stay out of the area. We do have a repopulation plan coming in place. So once everything's secure, we will make sure that we stick around once we start letting everybody in. It's not like we're just gonna walk away and tell you, oh, it's okay to go in. That could cause problems. So we will have personnel in place and we will do extra patrols just to make sure you guys are your property is still protected. That's all I have for now.
Thank you, Captain Williams, for that information. So that's going to move us into some utilities questions. We do have representatives from all the utilities place. We're going to start out with Southern California Edison with Cody Tubbs and Troy Whitman.
Good afternoon. Cody Tubbs, Director of Local Government Affairs for Southern California Edison. Joined today with my colleague Troy Whitman from SC Fire Management Services. Just want to start with a few words on behalf of SCE about these tragic last few days. Though all of us at SCE, we've been living these tragic events alongside our communities. We have team members that have been evacuated and sadly team members who've lost their homes and left with just the shirt on their back and animals and not much else. So we feel the pain amongst our communities. We know it's an incredibly challenging time.
Welcome in, Jen.
And it's been heartbreaking for all of us at Southern California Edison as we share in this very difficult period with many of the communities that we serve that were impacted by these very significant, very severe, and unprecedented wind events that we've seen nothing like it in at least the last decade. I know that extended power outages are a hardship for our customers. I do want to share the most updated information we have in terms of the number of our customers that are currently out. As of 3 p.m. this afternoon, I can report that across the Southern California Edison service area, out of 5 million total customer accounts, we are down to 172,000 that are without power, of which 120,000 of those are because of public safety power shutoffs, where we have extreme wind events. We've had to de-energize circuits until conditions abate and we can safely patrol the lines and re-energize our customers and keep our communities safe by trying to mitigate the risk of wildfires. I can also share that since the beginning of these events, Southern California Edison has re-energized a total of 406,000 customers. Of those, 190,000 were customers who did have their power turned off because of public safety power shutoffs who have now been restored. We also know that our customers want to see their power restored quickly. I can share we will restore power as quickly as it's safe to do so. As reference, we have thousands of field personnel who are currently deployed, trying to re-energize as many customers as we can, as quickly as we can once it's safe. I can also share we have brought in mutual aid assistance from another utility to augment our resources. And just here, working the Eaton Fire, I can share this statistic just came in. We have 46 line crews dedicated right now, boots on the ground, trying to restore customers who've had power turned off because of the Eaton Fire. So we're focused on deploying as many resources as we can with safety as our #1 priority. I do want to share, and it was mentioned earlier in the weather update, we are expecting additional dynamic, potentially dangerous winds, additional red flag conditions. This could mean customers that have had their power restored are again facing public safety power shutoffs. We know that's a hardship. I want to underscore at SCE, we use public safety power shutoffs as a tool of last resort. We only turn off power when it's necessitated to keep our communities safe. We do everything we can, and the last thing any of us want to do is to be turning off power. But I think the winds of the last few days and these dangerous, unprecedented, and very sad and tragic events remind us that we need to put safety first, and we will continue to do that at SoCal Edison as we face what we expect to be at least a challenging period through the weekend and into early next week with additional dynamic and potentially dangerous winds. Troy, anything you want to add that I didn't cover?
I would just add that we've been embedded with the incident management team here on the Eaton Fires since early stages of the fire, working 24 hours a day side by side with the incident management team, providing for public and first responder safety, helping them address the challenging conditions of this fire.
Thank you. That's the end of our report.
Thank you, guys. Next, we'll have
Hey,
from
Flo.
SoCal Gas, Roger Schwitzky, the Chief Infrastructure.
Yeah, good afternoon, and thanks for allowing me to say a few words. First, I'd like to start, the events that have occurred over the last couple of days obviously are unprecedented, and the impact it's had on the communities in Southern California is just devastating. SoCal Gas stands with each and every one of the individuals that has been impacted and the other associated community members that may have family and friends that have been impacted, because the devastation is so widespread. We've had employees impacted, we've had their family and friends impacted, and we look to continue to provide the safe, reliable service. Because I start with safe because safe is what we look as we continue to provide service and how we move forward. With respect to the Eaton fire, once we were able to go into the area, when it became safe to go into the area, we basically deployed several hundred people to assess the situation, and actually started doing some work to try to make the system safe. There's been a lot of discussion about flames off of our facilities. Those flames are really causing most homes that have been destroyed and aren't really stable when it's on fire. I know people won't believe that, but for me it's better to have a known flame than an unknown gas leak. And we're continuing to work towards that.
What happened?
However, we're at a situation now that as we get farther into the area and assess the situation, the devastation and damage to our facilities, we're looking at that we may have to take a little more drastic action and shut off service to a wider area. Now, what that means is, yes, those areas that are impacted with that immediate issues will be addressed, but it will also impact customers that are not impacted by the fires. And then we will start the process of trying to surgically restore service to those customers where it's safe
I think
to
questions
do so.
come at the end.
We do this only for safety, and that is the issue that we want. We want to make sure everyone's safe, and I'll be happy to answer your questions later in the event. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for that information. That completes our presentation for utilities, but we do have several utility units here that can answer questions when we get to our question and answer. Right now, our next speaker is going to be Chief of Pasadena, Chief Augustine.
Good afternoon, Chad Augustine with Pasadena Fire. For my Pasadena residents that were impacted by this fire, we grieve with you. My team and I are working around the clock to ensure that all impacted residents have every available service that's necessary so that we can fully recover. I'm pleased to announce that today that almost all of our evacuation orders have been lifted. Please be patient with us over the next couple hours as we allow our residents back into their homes. the small areas that were with evacuation orders that were not lifted is truly only because it's not safe to do so. Your Pasadena City leadership and fire department are committed to be with each of you as we rebuild and repair our community to the Pasadena that we know and love. Thank you.
Can't wait for the question and answer.
Thank you, sir, for that message. Our next speaker is going to be our Board of Supervisor District 5, Catherine Barger.
Hey, Doe Girl.
Thank you. And with me, I have Victoria
Lord.
Knapp and Nick Arnzen with the Altadena Town Council. Why don't you come over here? First of all, I just have to say I'm going to let them say a few words, because I know that they've been the boots on the ground talking to all the residents. But one of the issues that I've learned about is that for people that are applying online for FEMA reimbursement, you're getting denied. We have been in contact with Washington. What they're saying is if you identify that you have insurance, you will get denied. It's a glitch that they are fixing, but do not do not feel that denial is real.
I can't.
They want you to reapply.
FEMA's glitch.
Because you are not being denied, but the insurance is what is creating the denial. So
Didn't I tell you guys
please,
this?
we're
It's not the
working on it.
insurance.
I'm working with FEMA to make sure that happens, but I want to get the word out because I know on Facebook there are a lot of people talking about the fact that they had their ask denied, and we are working on that. I also want to let you know that we are actually in the process of working on a strategy to rebuild. I talked to the community, I was out there, and the one question I get asked, and even today coming here, someone who lost their home, is when are we going to be able to rebuild, and please don't tell us it's going to take a long time. So I'm making this commitment to you today. We're beginning that process. We are going to work with you, work with our incredible town council. Two of the members here, Victoria and Nick, lost their homes. So this is something that that they understand all too well. So with that, I want Victoria to say a few words on behalf of the town council. Victoria?
Good afternoon,
President
everyone.
said
I'm
the
Victoria
FEMA
Knapp,
was
I'm the chair of
covering
the Altadena
100%.
Town Council. I want to speak directly to the residents and business owners of Altadena. The Altadena Town Council is deeply saddened and heartbroken from the catastrophic damage caused by the Eaton fire. Our town has been forever changed by the destruction, and many of us, including council members, have lost our homes and businesses. We grieve alongside each one of you who have been affected by this disaster. Our schools, churches, restaurants, parks, water reservoirs, and many cherished historic buildings have been lost, some of which can never be replaced. We want you to know that you are not alone. We stand in solidarity with you during this incredibly difficult time. The spirit of Altadena lies in its residents, and we are committed to working tirelessly to bring you the most up-to-date information possible. We are still in the early stages of this recovery, and we will soon begin to heal and rebuild together. Thank you.
Thank you. You want to say anything?
I know, it's all the rhetoric. It's like, just get
so
to
with
the
that,
questions.
I just want you all to know that working together, we are going to get through this. And I know there are questions that came in. We've got Public Works here talking about debris removal. They'll be introduced in a minute. But please continue to communicate with us. If there are issues, let us know. I know one of the confusions right now is, and I actually was given information or misinterpreted information, that people were actually, if they had ID, were being allowed back into the area. And in fact, the captain clarified that. But we are going to work when it is safe and when we are able to get people back in. I promise you, we are going to make it a priority for the residents up there to be able to get back up and do an assessment in terms of their property and to allow them access back to the community. So that is
misinterpreted that they could
at
go
the top
home?
of my list right now.
What?
So with that, thank you. You want to say
will add.
Okay.
I just want the residents of Altadena to know there's some rumors going on about a vigil. I'm not sure if others are planned, but they probably the seeds of that. The town council is planning a gathering. We're just trying to work out the details. So pay attention to altadenatowncouncil.org where we will announce that. We're also going to have a banner at the top of the page. We'll gather up all this great resources and we'll make sure you know what to do and what's coming next. We're going to keep on this, and we're going to stand by each other. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Keep on this. It's not going nowhere. What is it, 10% contained? 16%?
Thank you guys for talking with us. Next, we're going to have our incident commanders close us out, Alex Macbeth and Kevin Bohall.
What about the condition of the drinking water?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Alex Macbeth. I'm one of the Unified Incident Commanders on the Eaton Fire. To my right is Kevin Bohall, another incident commander that is working with me. I want to speak to you real quick about Unified Command. This fire is in a Unified Command organization. What that means is we have multiple commanders that represent their jurisdictions that are either threatened or have been damaged by this fire. You have some of the best from all over California working with this team right now. We don't have one team. There's no CAL FIRE team, there's no Forest Service team, there's no county team. Right now it's one team that has everybody from the state, the federal, the county, and even your local cities that are on it right now. As the Unified Commanders, and speaking for the Unified Commanders, we are here to help. We put together an organization that can get a lot done, and we expect that a lot's going to get accomplished over the next 4 to 5 days. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Kevin to speak about some other objectives.
Yeah, obviously we've talked about the gravity of this incident. Obviously it's much more than a wildland incident, which it initially was. That's initially what we came up with, the incident command structure. So understand that under our unified command, we're looking at the best outcome that we can for values at risk and then values that are impacted. And over the next coming weeks and or days and weeks and then into months, part of the goal is to get ready for the recovery effort. So right now, yeah, we're fighting a wildland fire. All these other values at risk and values that have been impacted that we've spoken of previously are all things that we're looking at in order to get the best outcome we can for the citizens of Los Angeles County.
Thank you guys for all that information. So that's going to conclude our speakers. But before we leave, we do have several question and answers that we're going to get into now. I do want to state that this is Unified Command, so we do have representatives from everybody that is Unified Command that will be able to address the questions as they come. Some of the questions I would like to address myself, just so that we can make sure this is out of the emails that we received from you and some of the ones that came online. One of the questions was, when will water, gas, and power be returned? As some of our spokesperson have stated, it's going to be returned as soon as it's safe for everybody, and so that'll be an ongoing dynamic. One of the other questions was, how can you find out if your home is still standing? We do have a DIMS team that has been established and out there working. Once that DIMS team grabs the information, they're going to be creating a website for you guys to go to. Once that website's created, please go to the Angeles National Forest or the Los Angeles County Fire social media pages, and that information will be put on there. And that is also going to answer the question of what's the best method to receive information. That's going to through the Angeles National Forest social media page and the Los Angeles County Fire social media pages. I'm going to have, for our question and answers, we're going to start right now with our Public Works, and we're going to have our Director of Operations for Public Works come up and talk with Mark.
Good afternoon. I'm Mark Pastrella. I'm the Director of Los Angeles County Public Works, and I'm here representing not only our department, we provide services across Altadena community, as well as interconnected with Pasadena and the surrounding cities. So I'm here to talk to you a little bit about recovery and where we are at that, and I understand there's a few questions about water, so I'll get to that in a second. We are still in an active incident, and I know a lot of people are hungry to get back to their homes, and in fact, LA County Public Works, along with the utility companies, gas, water, and power, have today officially been allowed entry to the site to take a look and analyze where we are in terms of your safety and returning to the site. We are not quite ready to authorize re-entry to the area based on the hazard that still exists within the street system for those of you that have been evacuated. Those hazards include ash, fallen trees, debris, hazardous materials still on site. Much of the material that's burned to the ground will be considered toxic and has to be handled properly, and we want to get that handled before we have anybody go in and get exposed to unhealthy soil and or water or air. So we are, however, I want everyone to know that we are aware that people will want to get back to their homes quickly. So let me give you a little bit of an update about what we learned about the Eaton fire. Again, 13,956 acres is what I have, some percentage of containment. The water supply system throughout the burn areas, not only here but in the other west side of town, continues to be in question. There is currently a state order requiring all water agencies to call for no drinking of the water. So the water quality has been degraded to the point that the state is concerned about that quality for human consumption. So we are continuing to ask you under state order not to drink the water at this time. Someone asked whether or not that water can be, when will that be lifted? The typical timeline for that is once we get the treatment up and running again and in good shape, it usually takes 48 hours before we can actually all clear. We don't have, several of the water companies here are not quite ready yet in terms of their water treatment to begin that clock. So I don't have a very good estimate for you when you should start drinking that water. So for all intents and purposes and for your own safety, we recommend you do not drink the water. It may not, someone also asked whether or not they can bathe in the water. It may not even be advisable to do that, just out of abundance of caution. Getting water on your skin is not a problem. It's consuming it that we would be concerned about.
What about
the
the
pathogens
questions?
that may be in there, or the ash and toxins that might be in the water. So we have a water quality issue ongoing. Within your neighborhoods, there are many, many fallen trees, and there are trees that are still in place that will most likely fall over with any level of wind. So we are going to be assessing those trees that are a hazard to humans and start our process of clearing the street tree system, and that should happen within the next week. We would probably begin Monday, starting to take down what we consider removing trees and taking trees not from your private property but from along the public right-of-way to clear that. We have signals down, and there's too many to note to cite, but there are signals down all over the area, and those are being restored as we speak. So we're asking from the Public Works perspective for you to not to obey all traffic and controlled intersections. We have some of the intersections that are being controlled by officers, and it's very, very important that you know they're there, first of all, but second, that you know remind yourselves about what it is to stop at a four-way stop, and that the officer has the absolute authority for the movement. So if you are venturing this area, you are going to come to roadblocks. Those are going to eventually be continue to be provided by Public Works agencies and manned by law enforcement, and law enforcement has the authority to allow you to enter or not. The area has suffered a tremendous blow. Your private property has suffered a tremendous blow, and all of you have had an emotional event occur in your lives. I speak from personal experience. I know what it is to lose a home, and I know for me, and I'm sure for you, it's going to be a very difficult process you're going to go through.
This isn't what people want to hear, man.
And I understand, as
they
all the others
know about
do
now.
Here behind me, that you have every right to want to get back to your property, every right to, and it's understandable you want to get there, and we are here standing ready to get you back in those properties. For the communities of Altadena, LA County Public Works will be establishing a Public Works site within the community, an actual office. We'll start with a mobile office, and then we'll start with a permanent office. It will become a Public Works district office. We will be issuing building permits, encroachment permits, and we will be coordinating the utility companies within the community. We will be also involved with contractors and making sure contractors are following the rules and laws as they perform the work to restore the community. So you will see a big Public Works presence throughout the Altadena community beginning this weekend and at full force come Monday. I want to thank our utility companies that are here, that are working with us in coordination. That includes Southern California Edison, Southern California Gas. They have asked for and gained permission to your properties to cut off, to take hazardous lines from the ground, and also to cut off the gas so you don't see those flares happening any longer. So we would ask that you be patient with the utility companies. We know they're there. They've gone there with our permission, and they are doing the work of restoring your community to a safe place to build.
What's he smiling
about? On the
about?
rebuild, you will be getting in LA County territory expedited plan check. We will be considering reduction in fees, and we will start that process as soon as you are ready to submit. So that is already in place, and I want to just say that under the leadership of Supervisor Barger, Of course, she's made this whole area a major priority, and all of the departments of Los Angeles County are ready to stand up this area back up and restore you stronger than you were before, even better the way we left it. So again, my heart goes out to all of you, and I'm ready to answer questions at the Q&A period. Thank you.
He's a
Great,
nightmare.
thank you for that. A couple of questions came up that are FEMA related as well as donations related. So in a minute, I'm going to bring up our Board of Supervisor, Catherine Barger, to answer that. But I want to clarify, I answered one of the questions regarding the DIMS team. DIMS is our disaster assessment teams that are coming out. So that's what DIMS represents. So now I'm going to ask for Catherine Barger to come up and talk about the FEMA and some donations.
Yeah, thank you. People are asking about a clarification on what I said about the FEMA claims. Yes, you will get the denial because you have insurance, and it says, should you reapply or mark that we don't have insurance? And what I'm told is that you should reapply. And again, working with FEMA, we're going to have an update. I'm on this, and tomorrow at our briefing, I will provide as much information as I get in real time. But make no mistake, I'm working on it, but you should reapply. And then we're getting questions regarding donations, and what I would ask is, please do not come and drop water off, even though I know it's out of the goodness of your heart. If you want to give financially, you can give to reputable organizations like the Red Cross, but you can also visit laworks.com/2025fires. Again, laworks.com/2025 and you can find lots of ways to get involved, whether it be through Project Angel Food, whether it be regarding the area, the agencies that are taking in the pets. So I would encourage you to go there, but please make sure any organization that you work with is reputable. There are companies and firms out there that are preying on individuals, and I want to make sure that we provide resources to credible nonprofits. So if you have any questions, again, laworks.com/2025fires. Thank you.
Thank you for that. This next question is going to be for our operations. What steps are being taken to ensure remaining structures in the burned areas will not be affected or destroyed by upcoming winds next week? So I'm going to bring back our operations section chiefs.
Good afternoon, Brian Ham from Operations Group. I think that's a very good question. Fortunately, we have a couple of days to prepare for the next winds that come in, and we're anticipating this. So we have many resources that are currently at the incident and are continuing to trickle in. We've ordered resources from out of the state, around the state, Oregon, Nevada, Texas, and locally around the state. So we have a lot of pre-positioning resources that are coming into the area, not only on the Eaton fire, but also around the southern region. So we're not only preparing for the Eaton with the winds with the structures that are actually within the burned area and protecting those from any kind of harmful effects that can come from them, but also around the southern portion of the state of California. So with that, we're increasing the amount of resources that are coming in, whether it be engines, water tenders, bulldozers, hand crews, and aircraft are also staging in the area. So that way when the weather is in a favorable condition for them safe to fly, they can actually lift off and assist us with anything we need. So with the added resources to the incident, we're going to be doing extra patrols. All the resources on the incident are on 24-hour, around-the-clock days. So that'll provide coverage during the day and at the night. And along with that is our line supervision is also 24 hours a day throughout the duration of the incident. We're also, when the winds pick up, we're actually going to be loading the incident in the harmful areas with additional personnel, whether it be engines, hand crews. Water tenders are a big one because our water system has been affected. So we're actually we've had a plan implemented in order to mitigate that issue.
Thank you guys for that additional information. A lot of inquiries have come in about Sierra Madre. So to speak in regards to what's happening in Sierra Madre, we have Fire Chief Bartlett here that will give an update.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to address our residents in Sierra Madre. Glad that we're hearing some concerns, and hopefully I can address them. Before I do, I want to make sure that I remind our residents that the city will be standing up Facebook Live town halls, or basically just information daily. We started today, but they'll be going daily between the hours of 10 and 11, depending on basically our resource time. Committed through daily of next week on Friday. Basically, real quick scenario for us. We have been able to lift some of the orders and warnings, or to convert some of the orders to a warning, and warnings have been cleared. So a brief update on that is basically everybody above Highland to Grandview remains in evacuation warning. Everybody from Grandview North will remain in an evacuation order. Everybody from Highland Avenue to Orange Grove Avenue is now clear. So residents and businesses are free to go back should they choose to check on their homes, check on their businesses, even operate a business if they so choose. Be aware, the air quality, as we've heard already, is not ideal, so take that into consideration. We also may not have power when you return. Take that into consideration as well. Looking through some of the questions as they were pulling up, I know we do have some of the questions, especially our canyons. Those that live in Sierra Madre know how precious those are. Do not have exact totals, but we do have loss in Sierra Madre. We are currently looking at that and assessing it. We will hopefully have some estimated numbers very soon. However, our canyons are there. We may not have every home still there, but the canyons are still intact. The town looks great. I want to thank our community for listening when we did the evacuation orders. I want to thank all of our city partners. We're very blessed. If we look at our neighbors to the left or to the west of us, we're blessed compared to them. So keep them in your prayers.
Okay.
And we'll keep you in our prayers. Please turn to our local updates on Facebook Live for more local information. Thank you.
Facebook Live. What about people that don't have
Thank you for that
Facebook?
information. Next, I'm going to bring up one of our incident commanders, Kevin Bohal, is going to respond to a couple questions that came up.
Yeah, the first question that we got was how we were going to utilize some resources that we just received from Mexico. So first of all, we appreciate the support. Second, once we find out the skills and abilities of those resources, we'll find tasks that are appropriate and put them to work where applicable within the skills and abilities that they hold. So we have to find that out first, but we absolutely appreciate the support and we'll utilize them. The second one is, what is the plan for when the rains come? Is there a plan for mudslides? So obviously in this area, one of the things that does happen is you get large amounts of rain in a short period of time. You can have debris flows. We've seen like Montecito, things like that in the past. So what we do is we bring in a watershed emergency response team, which has already been ordered. I've already made that contact. And they come out and they do an assessment of the burned area. So what they do is they look at soil type, burn severity, things like that, and they assess what sort of debris flows we're going to have if we get a certain amount of water coming off of the mountain at a certain time. Once they get that assessment, we give it to the local EOC, and they work through together, and they come up with what the mitigations are going to be so that we don't have any damage to the values at risk again, or the values impacted after we get those rainfalls in the event that we get those rainfalls that could cause debris flows. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Next, I'm going to bring back up Captain Williams with LA County Sheriffs to respond to some of your questions that you had.
I just wanted to answer a few questions. I understand there was a question about whether or not they're letting people into the evacuation areas, even if they have ID and can prove that they're residents of the of Altadena.
Someone just said in chat, looters are now dressing up as emergency personnel. Guys, this is terrifying.
Still not considered safe. There's debris in the road. There's still active fires in certain spots, certain places. There's wires down. throughout the streets, and as they provide maintenance on these wires, they could become electrified, and we don't want anyone to get hurt. As of right now, our main priority is the safety of the public. I understand this is some trying times, and at the Sheriff's Department, we really feel for everyone that's dealing with this situation. But our utmost priority right now is public safety, and keeping people out of what's considered a danger zone is important for us. There was also a question about the curfew. There is a mandatory curfew in place. It's going to begin 6 p.m. today, and it's going to be 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. every day. We have this in place for enhancing public safety, to protect structures, and also to prevent looting and burglaries. The less people we have in an area, the better we are to protect it. There are some repercussions. If you are caught, you will be arrested. You will be hard booked, and you are subject to a $1,000 fine or jail time. So I just want to reiterate, there will be a mandatory curfew in place starting 6 p.m. tonight, going through 6 a.m. every day, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. There was a question about will we have continued support from our law enforcement, and the answer to that is yes. That includes the National Guard. They are actively in place now, and they are helping to protect assets and to help with road closures. So we will have continued support for the Sheriff's Department. I think that's all I have for those questions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, there's been several questions come up about power and utilities, so I'm going to bring back out the operations chief with the LA County Power, as well as we have Pasadena Power and Water.
David Reyes, Interim General Manager for Pasadena Water and Power. We stand with our residents, as Chief Augustine stated, devastation that we can only imagine. And those of you that have lost your homes and have been evacuated, we feel for you. Currently, we have about 395 known outages out of 65,000 accounts. So our system is held up incredibly well. We're very proud of our linemen and the staff at PWP and all the work that they've done. And they're here for you, our residents of Pasadena. With respect to water, we do have on our city website, I want to state it for you, please, pwp.cityofpasadena.net. There is a map. That map identifies an area in which we are recommending that you do not drink the tap water. You can bathe, you can take a shower, do not drink it. Boiling it does not help, in our opinion, and rather be safe than sorry. We expect to have additional information when the water will be safe to drink later next week, and we'll provide regular updates to our community through our website. That's PWP, the Pasadena website that I stated earlier. There was another question about where exactly, if it coincided with the evacuation zones, just because, as Chief Augustine stated, we are repopulating our areas in Pasadena. That does not mean the water is safe to drink. So we would remind you to please go to pwp.cityofpasadena.net, identify the map, and if you have any questions, you can call the number listed there. Outside of that area, we have no reason to believe that the water is not safe to drink. We've been testing it regularly. However, if you turn your water on and you find that it is gray or otherwise has soot, we would encourage you not to drink. The City of Pasadena partnered with LA County today. We distributed over 1,000 water bottles in a 4-hour period for those affected folks at 470 North Lake Avenue at the corner of Lake and Villa Street. We will do it again tomorrow from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Anybody that needs water can come on by and we'll give you a case of water.
to use in the meantime. We're working overnight, literally day and night, to get the system back up and running. We are very proud, as I said, of our staff and the work that they've done. They're working hard for the community, and we expect to have additional information early next week. We would anticipate that at least through Monday, those orders will be in effect. Do not drink if you're within the zone identified on the map. Thank you very much. Hi, Mark Pastrella again, and I want to thank the City of Pasadena Water and Power for their partnership. And as was stated, we've today joined forces, and we've been delivering bottled water, and we will continue to do so through the event. We will have future drop-off areas for that as well, and those will be announced. For some residents that aren't served by Pasadena Water and Power in the fire zone area, one place that you can find quickly who is your water company, you can go to water4la.com, and you can find out lots of information about your water system and specifically who delivers water to you. There are 3 or 4 water agencies in the fire zone area, some large, some small. LA County doesn't actually serve retail water in the area, but we are coordinating the water agencies in their delivery to them. We are also providing support to the water agencies as they repair their filtration systems in the smaller water systems, and specifically the districts that are serving Altadena. Thank goodness for Pasadena Water and Power. They have been sharing across an intertie to these small areas and have kept the water flowing throughout the event, both for fire suppression as well as for domestic use. Again, the drinking water, and we reemphasize it again, the drinking water is not something we recommend you drink. And in fact, we've been given orders by the state not to have people drink the water at this time. Someone has had a question. It's the inevitable question, when can we get back and when will the debris be removed? The County of Los Angeles intends to enroll in the state program for debris removal. We will be seeking state support for the debris removal. That program involves utilizing homeowners' property insurance, a portion of it that is designated for debris removal, and bringing that, submitting that forward to create a collective contract with the state, in which the state then brings in vendors, and those vendors properly clean the debris. And when I say properly, we first go in and actually analyze the soil to make sure that it's not toxic. We remove any toxic materials, and then the state will come with their contractors and remove and bring the site clean the site to a point that it's ready for reconstruction. It's a good program, and it's one that the county's proud to work with the cities that have been impacted across Southern California to prepare to remove the massive amount of debris that has to be disposed of properly. So that's the first step in our process of recovery for you. You will hear more about this in the coming weeks, where to sign up, how to sign up, and also the timing of it as we put this program together. Unfortunately, LA County has gotten pretty good at this because we've been the fiduciary and the coordinator of this program for 3 different fires so far, significant fires so far. So we're pretty good at it. And I think you're going to find that this is going to give you some relief to know that your site's going to be cleaned up and free of toxics and ready for reconstruction in a very short period of time. That's what I have on debris removal at this time. Thank you.
Thank you guys for that information. I'm going to bring back up Captain Williams again, who has some clarifications that he'd like to get out.
Hi again. I just want to clarify some things regarding the mandatory curfew in place. The jurisdiction is going to be anything that's considered an ordered evacuation area. Now, I know some people may be trying to figure out how you can find out if you are in a mandatory evacuation area. The best way of doing it is going on protectgenesis.com. That's protectgenesis.com. I'll spell it out. Protect, Protect. Genesis is spelled GENASYS.com.
Can you spell that again?
Yes. Protect, Protect. Genesis, GENASYS.
Oh my God. Relying on websites is awful.
.com. Just check that. You could type in your address. It'll let you know if your residence or business is in that mandatory evacuation zone. Again, that curfew is only in place for those that are within that evacuation zone. I know there are power outages throughout Altadena in the certain areas. We are ramping up extra patrols due to that. So we are out there doing extra patrols to assist. And anyone caught violating that mandatory curfew, sorry, been a long day. Anybody violating that mandatory curfew subject to arrest with a $1,000 fine and or jail time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, there's been some inquiries in regards to Altadena. I'm going to bring up Victoria Knapp, who's with the town council, to address that.
Hi again. I just wanted to communicate that we're seeing online that Altadena feels very ignored. That is not the case. The problem we have in Altadena, as most Altadenans know, is there is no central communication department. So every person that's in this building and in this room right now is here to help Altadena. It just takes us some time to coordinate all of the efforts, and because we're so decentralized, to find a way to get the information to you. So please know that this town council is working with everyone that's in this room and beyond to make sure that Altadena is connected to the resources it needs to be able to begin to heal. I just want to make it clear that I lost my home, and I know how you're feeling, and I feel disconnected as I am. But we are going to get you the information. Please follow us on the AltadenaTownCouncil.org website, where we will list the information for the gathering that we are trying to plan once we find a place. Thank you.
So that's going to conclude our meeting tonight with question and answers. I just want to go through some important websites to remind you guys of. SCE.com, so your Southern Cal Edison. And then we have SoGas.com, so that's SoCalGas, SoCal gas.com /fires to get information in regards to this incident, as well as lacounty.gov /emergency, where you can get some water alerts. I'd like to say thank you guys for joining us tonight. I know there was lots of questions in regards to hazard materials and stuff. We did not have anybody here tonight, but we'll be addressing those questions as we get the answers to them. So please go to the website for Angeles National Forest, as well as LA County Fire, to get the information as we get it in regards to the hazmat. Thank you for joining us, and have a good evening.
That's it? Oh, shit. This chat's going to blow up. Look how angry they are. These are the residents in this chat, guys. And they are not happy. And they're sharing links. Let's see what this moron had to say. Wow. I would feel so hung out to dry. I know how I felt during the hurricanes. And I didn't lose my home. I had damage, but nothing that it couldn't be lived in. But I was instantly denied by FEMA. I sent in the appeal. I mean, it's such a process, and these people have nothing. I mean, nothing. It's insane to me. And then you have, Biden saying, oh, we're going to, cover you 100% with FEMA. No, they're not. It's lies. They lie, and then I can't with it. Let's take a listen to this exclusive. He should have been there instead of smiling for Fox News with his dentures, whatever the hell, veneers. This is horrible, but we're going to listen to it. It's pretty short, so let's start at the beginning.
Of that.
Governor Newsom, good to see you. Not great to see you under these circumstances. As you stand here, look around, what goes through your mind?
Well, I just complete and utter devastation. Memories, mementos, traditions,
so
lifestyle,
fake.
all of it gone. I mean, it's overwhelming. And respectfully, from someone that's been to a lot of these. I mean, Tubbs Fire, I thought I'd never seen anything like that. 5,600 structures destroyed, and then of course Camp, 18,000, 85 lives lost. But the scale of this, the scope, and the fact that we have 5 active fires we're battling now is just extraordinary.
Rebuilding, not going to be easy. We know building housing in California is not always easy.
Yep.
Is there red tape that you can cut through to make rebuilding here move faster? If so, what specifically is that going to look like?
We're looking at a series of executive orders. We're looking at a series of legislative pathways to absolutely focus and streamline all of that and really target. I want to do it statewide, of course. I've been working on this for years. 42 secret reforms. We've got to do more. But right now, it's focusing on the rebuild and recovery. Of course, a big part of that is prepping the site, getting all the debris removal done, dealing with the hazardous waste, getting that done as quickly as possible, getting those contracts in order. At the same time, simultaneous getting the individual assistance, the small business loans and the like, moving. At the same time we're doing that, we're already working now on executive orders and working with the legislative leadership. I was just talking about legislative leaders on how we move to streamline that entire process. By the way, that includes some of the Coastal Commission work, particularly out here on the coast where it's obvious that's going to be a huge issue too.
So what specifically does that look like?
We're working through old strategies that we did up in Paradise. These are more contemporary strategies of focusing on one-stop shopping, making sure that we have an expedited approval process to make sure that we're dealing with a myriad of issues. I was just talking to Josh Green, the governor down in Hawaii, who had some ideas around some land use concerns he has around speculators coming in, buying up properties, and the like. So we're already working with our legal teams to move those things forward, and we'll be presenting those in a matter of days, not just weeks.
And in terms of insurance, are you think that what the state has right now is adequate to deal with this situation? And if not, what specifically needs to change when it comes to insurance?
Well, we haven't even had a chance to get in and do the assessment, so we have to do the assessment. So that's number one, and then we'll be able to answer that question. But the scale and scope and the value of these homes is off the charts. So it's profound. The FAIR Plan has a reinsurance component. The FAIR Plan has a component of a requirement as it relates to how it's pooled that shares with other people that are in the market, that they have a responsibility as it relates to anything that goes above and beyond the reinsurance. So we obviously are stress testing that, and not just the insurance commissioner. We had a team 2 days ago already working on this, but we have to assess the actual value. There's been wild estimates up to $57 billion, but on the basis of what? That's the basis of some aerial assessments, not a real detailed understanding of what's happened on the ground.
I mean, do you have a sort of an idea of what this is all going to cost?
Everybody has got no one does. I mean, it's literally, when you see a number like that, it's wild speculation. It's astronomical. It's unprecedented. That's not a numeric, but there can't be a numeric until you get the teams on the ground. Right now, we're still fighting again 5 active fires.
You put out a letter to DWP asking, how is it that there was no water to fight this fire in certain places? We were here.
Here we go.
Basically, these places just burned, and there was nothing that could be done.
Yeah.
Does the state have
Why did he freeze up?
any responsibility in that? Is there more the state can do to make?
Yeah.
Is that their video?
To DWP.
How convenient.
Asking, how is it that there was no water to fight this fire in certain places? We were here, and basically these places just burned, and there was nothing that could be done.
Yeah.
Does the state have any responsibility in that? Is there more the state can do to make sure it doesn't happen again?
Yeah, that's what I did. That's what the letter's about. Let's get to the bottom of it. Let's be transparent. Let's move this forward quickly. DWP and the city and the oversight as it relates to the Met, and we want to make sure that all that information is made real time and in public. I'm not interested in the finger pointing. I want to know what the hell happened, and would it have mattered? I mean, let's be honest about it here. I've talked to all my experts, all the firefighters I've been with. They said we could add an engine on every house in 90-mile-an-hour winds with all the pressure in the world. So you got to be realistic about that.
That's why
as
that
well.
one man saved his
but
own
still
home.
doesn't make it right, and I want to know when went wrong so it doesn't happen again.
But when you saw those images, I mean, that outraged so many folks.
I didn't see the images. I was there.
Right.
I was right on the line. I was here within a couple hours of the incident. So we saw it firsthand. We were getting the feedback in real time. Yeah, I mean, look, these systems obviously were not designed for a catastrophic event of this scale and magnitude. So the question is, they need to be designed in this new world reality. where we're in the middle of January, it's 70 degrees out. You get hurricane force winds up to 100 miles an hour, extended over a period of time. That's reality. So you got to prepare for that new reality. There's a deviation of normalcy now as it relates to what's happened with this climate, and we've got to own up to that.
I was the pool reporter with you back in 2018 after the Woolsey fire when you came and visited with President Trump and then Governor Brown. I know you just put out a letter asking President-elect Trump to come here. What's your main message to him?
Well, two things. By the way, I was just reviewing the after-action report for the Woolsey fire as well, and the lessons learned. After every single one of these incidents, we do an objective analysis, what went right, what went wrong, but based on fact, not politicalization, not conjecture or misinformation. To it, my response to your question. I'd like the President of the United States, at least the President-elect, to come and visit. The people out here, his lives have been completely torn apart. I want him to visit and understand the magnitude of this scope and what happened to the American people that happen to reside here in California. And it's with an open hand, not a closed fist. And I'm not interested in politicizing an event like this. I don't like the venality of it. I don't like the inhumanity of
my
that.
goodness.
I would like people to focus on a collaboration between the executive in Washington, D.C. and in the state of California to help rebuild a community that's been completely ravaged.
We know we've seen some public back and forth, but have you two talked about this?
No.
And have you reached out to him?
I just reached out today, specifically. Correct.
And he's not returning your call?
Alec, I just reached out to the President of the United States. We invited him to come here. I worked very well, as you know. You made that point as it relates to the Woolsey fire and the Camp Fire when we first met, ironically. We worked very well during COVID. And so that's my intention, has been from day one. We've said 100 times, open hand, not a closed fist. We're also not naive, and I think we have all the evidence in the world that bears fruit to the notion that we're not naive to prepare for a different reality, a radically different reality compared to what we just experienced in the last few days. You had a major disaster declaration that was done within 36 hours of this fire, which is extraordinary and unprecedented. You had 100% commitment on reimbursement for folks. You got a president that's just today is trying to figure out loose ends as it relates to significant work we do on infrastructure and parks and playgrounds and schools, and that will be an announcement we hope we can make in a matter of hours. I'm not interested in the theater of political consternation. That's what he's interested in. And I think it's pretty shameful, personally, but it shouldn't extend beyond this. I want to turn the page. I think everyone does.
And just to be clear, when you're talking about a president, now you're talking about President Biden, because we're going back and forth between the two presidents.
I'm talking about the current president of the United States that's done everything right without asking for anything in return, without leverage anything, with decency and respect to the people here in this community and to the American people, and I think in the spirit of this country.
And just lastly on that, I know President Biden is trying to set this up where we get funding for the next 6 months. Are you concerned that President-elect Trump may try to stop that?
Well, you should be. We all should be. It passed his prologue.
Oh, but I don't want to make it political.
Let's do everything in our power to avoid that. I mean, it's the idea that you had to ask that question, and I'm giving you a straight answer, and the answer is we should be concerned. It's obvious to anyone. So that's why we want to come out here. Do the right thing. I just want to move on. This is an emergency. We can do all this dance, and we have differences of opinion as it relates to all kinds of issues and values, and that's fair game, and that's important. That dialectic's important. But having this kind of friction when it comes to emergency response with emergency responders, these heroes, 12,000 that are on the front lines right now, taking care of people, making sure people are still alive. We're still doing emergency maintenance, evacuation. We're still concerned about flare-ups and spotting. You got kids right now that don't have money for baby formula, and we're trying to get them disaster assistance. You have folks in hotel rooms that have money only for tonight and don't know what's going to happen, haven't even had a chance to see their homes here, it's standing, or it's here and it's not standing. We want to get them emergency assistance over the course of the next 18 months. That's why I was with the FEMA director today. That's what the President of the United States and I are talking about, and I'd like to have that conversation with the next President of the United States in a couple weeks, and not have this back and forth that's rather childish from my perspective.
Any bottom line message to the people of California tonight?
Well, we care deeply about them. We have their back, and we're going to continue to come back until this is completely rebuilt. And I know it's rote and cliched, and even saying it's rote and cliched, But we will be built back better and stronger. And I'll give you testament to that. I mean, up in Paradise right now, you have insurers coming back into the market. The kids are back in school. It hasn't been completely rebuilt, but you won't even recognize the progress that's been made. The houses are stronger.
Bye,
They're
Lizzie.
more resilient. There were lessons learned. They've been rebuilt differently. We were able to fast track a lot of that development, address the anxiety around property taxes, anxieties that people had in the short run about even paying their income taxes, backfilling the property tax loss to the school district. All those things we're working on right now with
You're
the
a
legislature
liar.
through
Ugh.
executive orders. We know
Evil.
how to do this, and so it's about accountability, transparency. That's what the letter is as it relates to DWP, what happened with the local water, and the pumps. Just set it straight. Just let us know what happened. Is it just overwhelming the system? A lot of people think it's just
He
that.
can't get the
was
answer?
it the pumps? Was it the pipes? Was it some other, there's something else that happened? And let's get to the bottom of that. And let's turn the page as it relates to the new incoming president. We'd like him to have the spirit of the current president and have the backs of people so we can recover. And this wonderfully iconic American city could come back as a tentpole of this state and the tentpole of this country.
Governor Newsom, thank you so much for the time.
Thanks for being here.
Please.
Thank you.
Again,
What
that
an
was
absolute joke. That guy is like way too happy about this. Let's hear what Biden said. What was this?
Let's listen to the president and the briefing from FEMA officials. It began just moments ago.
This is yesterday, guys.
Well, good afternoon. I returned from Los Angeles last night, and the devastation out there is catastrophic in California. Thousands of houses, schools, businesses burned to the ground. Communities wiped out, lives lost, families forever changed. They're the worst fires to ever hit Los Angeles, ever. And as soon as these fires broke out, I approved the Fire Management Assistance Grants. That's a term of art and how we get help to local officials. These grants cover California's firefighting cost for things like firefighting equipment, firefighters' salaries, and special capabilities like aircraft. Next, yesterday I immediately approved Governor Newsom's request for what they call, and I know this is all sounds like government talk, but it's called the Major Disaster Declaration. This declaration allows folks, at the request of the governor, the declaration allows folks who have been impacted to get immediate cash assistance to cover things like everything from groceries to baby formula to prescriptions, because as you've seen and you reported, a lot of these places are burned to the ground. There's not a single thing left in their homes. And so if they contact disasterassistance.gov, anybody who's lost everything or anything of consequence, disasterassistance.gov or 1-800-2, I beg your pardon, 1-800-621-3362. That's disasterassistance.gov, 1-800-621-3362 to get the kind of help they need for everything from the basics that they don't have access to right now. And this morning, due to the magnitude of the disaster, I was talking with the governor, and he requested if I could increase the federal funding that was authorized under this legislation from 75% to 90%. We're increasing it to 100% of all the costs to be covered by the federal government.
Hear that?
For both the fire management assistance grants
Hear
and
that?
the elements of what they call the disaster declaration. So today I'm announcing that the federal government will cover 100% of the cost for 180 days. This is going to pay for things like debris and hazard material removal, temporary shelters, first responders' salaries, and all necessary measures to protect life and property. And folks, I want to underscore, I told the governor and local officials, spare no expense to do what they need to do and contain these fires and in their communities that have really been devastated. And we're doing literally everything we can at a federal level. That's also why I call this group of folks around this table of all relevant federal departments and agencies together to discuss what more we can do. And some of the folks around the screen as well. Before we begin things, here's an update on where things stand right now. First, First, we focused on helping contain these fires. Over the last 24 hours, the United States Forest Service, working with state and local responders, has suppressed over 50 fire starts. And the fire in the Hollywood Hills has been contained by brave firefighters risking their lives. Right now,
contained?
3 major fires are still burning.
Contained?
In the Pacific Palisades, in Pasadena, and in Sylmar. I want to be clear. What I know from talking to the governor, that there are concerns out there that there's also been a water shortage. The fact is, the utilities understandably shut off power because they're worried the lines that they carried energy were going to be blown down and spark additional fires.
Hear this? That isn't what the utility people just told us in this meeting, is it? Listen again. Listen again. This is why these people are going to be hung out to dry, because no one is helping. They're all talking and no one's helping.
I know from talking to the governor that there are concerns out there.
From talking to the governor. We just heard the governor. He says, I'm trying to find out why there is no water. Like, just tell me. Are you kidding? 3 different stories from 3 different entities all in one night. We're hearing them all right here.
That there's also been a water shortage. The fact is, the utilities understandably shut off power because they're worried the lines that they carried energy were going to be blown down and spark additional fires. Blown
down?
But the Cal Fire...
The fuck is he even talking about? Blown down?
And when it did that, it cut off the ability to generate pumping the water. That's what caused the lack of water in these hydrants.
Oh.
And so Cal Fire is bringing in generators to get these pumps up and working.
What happened to these generators? How come we haven't heard anything about these generators? Wow. Wow.
Working again so that there's no longer a shortage of water coming out of these hydrants. I'm also surging all federal resources possible to Southern California, including 400 additional federal firefighters, over 30 firefighting helicopters and planes, federally supplied firefighting planes and helicopters, and 8 Department of Defense C-130s that are equipped to suppress wildfires. Today, the Secretary of Defense also authorized 500 wildfire ground clearing personnel from the Defense Department. And I've directed the department to continue working with Governor Newsom to identify additional resources that can be provided.
The department to work with Governor Newsom. Why wasn't Governor Newsom at the town hall meeting that we watched? Why was he standing somewhere with rubble in the background, with his hair slicked back and a nice clean shirt on, talking to Fox News, local, Fox News 11, LA, local, while the town hall is going on and the president's saying, oh, I expect the governor to continue working with the utilities. This is all bullshit, dude. I'm so scared for the people of California that are going through this tragedy right now. I'm scared for them.
Fire ground clearing personnel from the Defense Department.
So we're bringing in gas-fueled generators, according to him?
And I've directed the department to continue working with Governor Newsom to identify additional resources that can be provided for public safety and security. And we've secured additional firefighters and firefighting aircraft from our ally in Canada as well. I also want everyone in Southern California to know we're going to keep at it. We're sticking with this. We expect there may be a temporary break in the winds, but in some areas the winds are likely to continue well into next week. And so we're going to continue to sending everything, literally, every resource we can find.
I mean, if this doesn't tell you that the president, like these people are all talking heads. He's literally got a binder of someone that printed to him what to say. None of it is correct, but they printed it anyways, put it in a binder and handed it to him to sit down in this nice little leather chair and read. It makes me sick.
That's appropriate to help the governor and the first responders.
When would you ever see Trump sitting with a binder in a situation like this. And I'm not some Trumpster, but I can call like differences when I see them. I've never seen Trump sit down with a damn binder during a crisis. And I watched him through COVID. He spoke to us every day via a press conference every single day. And I'll never forget that. I looked forward to it every day. I watched it. Just saying.
Second, we're focused on helping people who have been displaced or in many cases lost everything. You reported on, you've seen the homes just burned to the ground. Whole areas burned to the ground. Large areas. They've been displaced and they've lost everything. As I said, since the fire started, FEMA has been working with the state to help residents get shelter, groceries, prescription, and other critical goods like baby formula. We're also sent FEMA Director Criswell to Los Angeles to manage our response on the ground. She was supposed to be on this call, but we have the deputy here because she is out in the field with the governor right now, surveying what's going on. Let me close with a message to the people of Southern California. We are with you. We're not going anywhere. To the firefighters and first responders, you are heroes. Many of these firefighters are out there risking their lives and some, well, I won't go beyond that, but risking their lives.
Yeah, he was going to go beyond talking about the firefighters dying. That's what he was going to talk about. And he stopped himself. Listen again.
Firefighters and first responders, you are heroes. Many of these firefighters are out there risking their lives and some, well, I won't go beyond that, but risking their lives. And while
how many have died? I want to know how many firefighters have been injured or died because they had to have.
Their own homes are in danger. Their families are in danger. To the firefighters and first responders, you really are. It's not hyperbole, you're heroes. You're genuinely heroes. And the worst, this is the most widespread, devastating fire in California's history. It's amazing. And there's nobody who understands it better than the press have been covering this on a minute-to-minute basis. And you literally have to run into the flames, these firefighters. You know, that old expression, God made man, then he made a few firefighters. Who runs into flames? You know, in doing so, you're leaving your own families and who may be in harm's way as well. So we owe you.
Oh,
and we're gonna
if you have to read something like this and you can't form it from your own freaking heart, I mean, really, this is sick.
Sure, you get every resource you need, every possible resource you need. You know, to the families who have been impacted by this disaster, you're living through a nightmare. I know, and I promise you, we're going to help you get through this. And eventually,
he's reading. This sounds so, oh my God, I am so angry right now because he doesn't even fake it good. He's literally, oh, for the people going through this tragedy, I know. It's like, no, you're supposed to read this with some emotion, dude.
You're living through a nightmare, I know. And I promise you, we're going to help you get through this and eventually recover and rebuild. I'm going to turn it over now to the Vice President before we go on to the folks in
Here comes this joke.
Various cabinet positions as well as agencies that control these issues. Madam Vice President, I know you're directly affected, so you fire away. No pun intended.
Indeed.
Look at the smiles behind him. Look at the smiles behind him. Look at the look she gave him. He said, fire away. And look at her face. She's like, did you just really say that? Are you freaking kidding me? Fire away. She's like, what did you just say?
Agencies that control these issues. Madam Vice President, I know you're directly affected, so you fire away. No pun intended.
Indeed. Thank you, Mr. President, and also for the work that everyone around this table has been doing with the appropriate sense of urgency, because this is an urgent matter. What we have seen in California, and in particular in Southern California, is apocalyptic in terms of the nature of it and the unprecedented nature of it as well. And what we are seeing is a situation that is extremely dynamic. It is very much in play, and to some degree unpredictable. because we are literally waiting to see which way the wind blows. And I cannot praise enough the local leaders, most of whom I have talked with, and in particular our firefighters, who, as the president has said, they are working around the clock. They are working 12-hour, even longer shifts, and they are doing it with a sense of optimism, but also with an understanding of how serious this moment is and how important their work is to real lives and real people. Thousands of families have been displaced. Many of those families with young...
Those were actually my dogs, Sin. Those are my dogs barking because my supper was dropped off.
Young children with nowhere to go. And what we know is that this is a matter of current urgency, but this is also something that is going to have an impact for months and years to come.
Yeah, we don't know this.
And on that point, I will also make note of the fact that sadly, many insurance companies have canceled insurance for a lot of the families who have been affected and will be affected, which is only going to delay.
See, that should be criminal. That should be criminal right there. The fact that they're admitting, look at Biden. Huh? What insurance companies? Look at him. What insurance companies? FEMA's going to take all this. FEMA's going to cover 100%. What is she talking about?
Or place an added burden on their ability to recover. And I think that is an important point that must be raised, and hopefully there can be some way to address that issue, because these families, so many of them, otherwise will not have the resources to recover in any meaningful way. And many of them have lost everything. In the midst, however, of all of the trauma that has occurred, we have seen extraordinary acts of heroism. I'm hearing countless stories of strangers helping strangers. People who are opening their homes where they are intact and have not had to evacuate, opening their homes to neighbors, to friends of neighbors, feeding them and providing shelter for them. And I do think that it speaks to the best of who we are as a country.
No,
which is
it speaks to we have to take care of each other because y'all don't give a shit.
In times of crisis, we find the heroes among us who we may not have known before, but act out of a sense of courage, but also a sense of community. And I applaud all those who are approaching this crisis with that spirit. And the bottom line is this: there are incredible heroes every day who are working right now in California on the front lines of this fire. And in particular, I want to thank the firefighters for all they are doing. They are, as the president said, putting themselves in harm's way. And they are doing the work that is about helping people who are perfect strangers to them and doing it in some of the highest moments of need that anyone could face. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Liz Sherwood-Randall.
Turn it back to me.
Okay, back to the president.
Look, I've had a chance to speak with a lot of the
Perfect strangers to them and doing it in some of the highest moments of need that anyone could face. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Liz Sherwood-Randall.
Turn it back to me.
Okay, back to the president.
Look, I've had a chance to speak with a lot of the elected officials, including the senators, some of the congresspersons in the region, as well as the vice president as well. And I want to be clear that one of the reasons I've asked this larger group to get together is because they control the very agencies that are needed from a federal level to get things done. And we're in a situation where the U.S. Forest Service Chief, Randy Moore, is here. And he's going to provide an update in the fire situation in Los Angeles.
He's going to say it again.
How the U.S. Fire Service, the U.S. Forest Service, is assisting Los Angeles and the state of California with fighting the wildfire. Is assisting fire service
the U.S. Fire Service. It's written in front of him. I can't believe I'm reviewing Biden right now. It's written in front of him. He can't even get.
Los Angeles to discuss how the U.S. Fire Service, the U.S. Forest Service, is assisting Los Angeles and the state of California with fighting the wildfire, including the action his team has taken to suppress new fire starts. So, Chief, why don't you fire away?
Thank you, Mr. President. Madam Vice President, it's great to see you. I, too, consider...
That is the president there with the...
Chief, why don't you fire away? New fire starts. So, Chief, why don't you fire away?
Thank you, Mr.
Says it again. Fire away. No pun intended. Chief, why don't you fire away? I can't take it. It's horrible. It's horrible. Thank God you are. I can't understand a word he says. Hey, Jubes. Just shameful. I mean, I am scared for the people of California, to be completely honest. Do you guys want to see some live fire right now? While they're saying all this nonsense, this is what's really going on.
As this fire quickly exploded, this little flare up here quickly exploded and has turned into an inferno in the middle of the Santa Monica Mountains, I should say.
Santa
this is
Monica
all
Mountains.
happening within a box that they have painted around this fire. There is fire retardant along all of these fire roads, and they are hoping that this fire behaves accordingly and stays within that box. The wind is pushing the fire to the south. As the fuel is to the north, it's continuing to provide life to this fire. So it's basically a situation that they are dealing with, but right now there are no homes under threat. Reporting live from Air 7, I'm Chris Christie, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
See that big ass fire? Here's the current situation.
Right, so the embers are blowing in the opposite direction. The embers are blowing to the south, but these guys are escaping to the north to get away from the fire, and that is where the fire line is, and that on the other side of the line is where the San Fernando Valley is. Rob, if you can go ahead and pull out, I want to put all of this in perspective if we could. The fire that we're looking at here, we are looking from north to south, the Pacific Ocean and the Pacific Palisades on the other side of that smoke. On the left side of your screen, yep, that's the fire. There's the Pacific Palisades. There's all of the destruction that we've been reporting on. If we pan over to the left, in the middle of your screen is a fire road where there is a thick line of fire retardant with dozers and fire crews lining that fire road right there that are ready just in case this fire jumps the fire line. But the fire is being pushed by the wind in the opposite direction. So the only fire that's moving towards the San Fernando Valley is fuel-driven fire, not wind-driven fire. Those embers are actually flowing in the opposite direction. If we widen out one more time, you can see the proximity from the fire line right there in the middle of your screen and Tarzana on the left-hand side of your screen. There are so many people across this part of the San Fernando Valley who are very concerned about what they're seeing. That is the Encino Reservoir right there. They are using that as well to refill those helicopters with water. So that's a great tool at their disposal. But all of those people who live on the San Fernando Valley side are looking up and seeing a very ominous cloud and a very ominous sight as these flames are starting to kind of flap over the ridgeline and really putting up quite a show. They're really going to light up the night sky as the sun goes down here. But right now, there is quite a distance. It's almost an optical illusion. We are based in Van Nuys Airport, and when we were looking at this fire from the Van Nuys area, it looked like the fire was right there. But you can see just how much distance there is between the Palisades fire on the right and the San Fernando Valley communities on the left-hand side of your screen. And right now, you have hundreds of firefighters that are making sure that this fire does not cross that fire road right there.
This is terrible. Are they calling this the Santa Monica fire? Does anybody know?
That's right. The Santa Ana winds are blowing the fire away from Tarzana, away from the San Fernando Valley in the opposite direction towards the Pacific Ocean. The only reason that fire is creeping up towards the fire line is because there is so much ripe fuel that is really giving life to this fire. And in addition to that, they are making water drops at the same time. There was a report just about an hour ago that there was another drone sighted in the area, and I think there may have been a pause at one point in some of the aerial activity, but in any event, you can see they have now brought back these helicopters and they are continuing to pound the fire. But really, the fuel is just so much that is too much to really, I mean, there's not enough water to put this fire out. It's just a matter of stopping the fuel that is providing this.
All right, you guys, I'm going to start a new stream and continue to cover this new fire tonight. So the link is in the chat. I'm going to end this one and start a new one. Oh, man, this is terrible. Thanks, you guys, for joining. I'll see you guys over in the new stream. Here's the link again. This is really bad. Like he said, there's not enough water for this. See you guys in just a minute. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back.